Alright, so we have a Samsung washer here. We have some bad suspension rods. As you can see how bouncy it is. So that's just a bottle of water, and shortly you'll see something else. I'm going to put another weight. Hornet spray, actually. That's what's going to be. So basically I'm going to simulate just the unbalance, and you'll see how this machine goes off balance. Samsung suspension rods used to be really, really good. I'm seeing them failing more and more, usually within 2 years now. They used to be 6 years. Also, if you do the aftermarket, it's a hit and miss. So in this video, I'm doing just the replacement, but I also repaired them. So the before, what you're looking at right now, they are defective or worn out, I should say. And you can see the basket moving pretty erratic. So the suspension rods are bad. You get the UL or UR error message. The machine will not finish the cycle. Every time you put a load in, it resets and you never finish. So pretty frustrating. So this video, I am not showing the repair, but I will link the video to this so you can see that the rods that are on this machine are actually repaired. So I have a method and I will share it with you guys. Now normally you wouldn't have the machine on balance, but even if it's something that is small, it would still cause the unbalance, because as the drum is spinning, it's going to cause all that weight to be shifted to one side. So it will cause the machine to go out of balance. So even when your suspension rods are good, if you have too much weight to one side, it will cause an unbalanced situation. So try and keep everybody level as you keep it, from going out of whack. That's the machine, similar to what I'm working on, just like that. It is not the same machine, but it's the same style. So here we have something under the stator. That's the stator. And I have another stator actually under it, and then my airbag. It's going to fall shortly, but you can still see what I'm doing. So I'm actually airing it up. And the idea behind this, as you raise the tub, the basket, it makes it easier for you to extract these suspension rods. So instead of you fighting, trying to lift the entire tub, the tub is already lifted up. And you can pretty much just pull those out. Now, you will need lots of gloves, especially on Samsung. Their gloves, their suspension rods have a lot of grease. So you will definitely need, I would definitely say probably a pair per suspension rods. If you're doing the repair, then you definitely will need extra gloves. I will walk you through the repair on the actual suspension rods fix, and those you'll definitely need extra gloves. So once you remove those plugs, those are just Phillips screws. You'll have 4 of them. Don't lose them. And once you have removed the screws to the back, those are just Phillips screws. Then you can remove the console, which is right above the water valve. And then you can access the other 2 screws. Just lift and pull, don't break, be careful. It comes off. Just don't yank it. And be careful of that diagnostic port. Just late, it's not going to hurt it. So got some screws to remove. Just don't lose your screws. Sorry about that angle. I was trying to do a close-up, but it was not focused. That's a special screw. I held it. I wanted you guys to see it. Those are for just the ground strap, the green wires. So don't put regular screws in. Now that tab will have to be squeezed and then pushed in. You have to first remove the screw or screws. Actually, 1 screw, but you do have 2 screws above it. Those are ground strap or grounding. You do have to remove those. Don't lose your screws. And those are machine screws as well. So fine thread, so to say. Now, that is the Phillips screw for the, I guess the head top or the... So now we have the back off. We're taking off the console. Now it's time to remove some rods. Now you can use your channel lock and you can just grab the top and pull. Make sure you have enough space. Now if you have a straight pliers, it might be easier to grab the top and keep it straight. Or you can just use your gloves and just grab them and pull them out. Now, make sure you measure your suspension rods just in case. If you're just replacing, always check because sometimes it do ship or your model number could be wrong or whatever. So it would save you a lot of time if you just measure so you don't have to do all that extra work. Now, you can grab these with your gloves and lift. Now, especially if you have the tub suspended, it's a lot easier. Just grab and pop them in. Samsung actually, they're not bad. The only issues I have, they are so greasy and you literally go through probably 4 pairs of gloves. Didn't have a lot of viewage point. Pretty straightforward. Again, I like grabbing them like that, but sometimes you don't have a lot of room, so you might have to grab the pliers, channel locks, and squeeze the top and just pull, and they snap right on in. That one slipped in fine. Be careful with those pins. They are connectors, and sometimes if you move that top too much, you will pull them out. They do have a keeper, which I'll show you at the end of the video. Make sure you get them back in. Alright guys, so right there, that is your suspension rod where the drain, not the drain, but the pressure port tube make sure you reconnect the bracket back to the suspension rod, but your pressure tube, keep calling it that, your pressure tube, you want to leave that not connected. We're disconnecting right now, but when we reconnect, see how it's wrapped around? You want to leave that free. And the reason for that is sometimes when the washer, when it goes off balance or into crazy spin, it could actually pull that tube off of the washer. That would result in a leak and also a error message, and your washer will not wash, and you'll have water damage on your floor. So leave them off. It's actually a bad design to have them connected because it restricts the movement. So you want to keep the movement of the tub independent of the pressure tube, pretty much. You don't want to lock it to the suspension rod, is what I'm saying. So you do have to loosen some wires before you can actually shift the top. Otherwise, it's too restrictive. You end up damaging wires or other things that you could actually cause damage to. Make sure you disconnect and reconnect that back to your new suspension rods. Otherwise, you would have issues with that. And that's what I was talking about right there. Okay, so just like that, leave it alone. Do not connect it. I did a close-up. Hopefully you can see it. Now it's time to connect your wires. Now you want to get that tube or that connector I want you to see the struggle. It does, sometimes it takes a little second. There you go. And don't forget your screw. And those guys are your grounding strap. Don't forget to put those back. And then your Phillips screws. So just basically checking all your connectors and making sure everybody is secured. And that's your connector for your console. Now is when you want to make sure that you check everything. Nothing is worse than getting it half or put back together to realize you didn't do something or you have to take it back apart. So just take your time, check all your connectors, check all the screws, check everything, make sure everything is secured. so that you don't have to do it over again. So the console on this, you have to open the lid and it slides in. So we're pretty much got the top on, and now we're pushing down, checking the suspension rods again. You can see how firm they are. They barely even move. You can see it. So we're going to do a spin, and we're going to put back our water and our thing. And we're going to let it spin for a little bit, and you can see the big difference. It does not go out of balance. It stays pretty level. And again, keep in mind, all the weight and momentum is actually just positioned on one side. So as the machine is spinning, it actually multiplies that weight. So it goes to show that if the load was leveled, then the machine would be even smoother. So this should be sped up. If it's not, my apologies. So you can see a slight movement. All that is totally 100% normal. Those suspension rods are active, and that's their job, is to counteract the actual force that is being exerted on them. So when the damper is not able to do that, then what they end up doing is just slapping against the side of the machine. Especially when the washer is loaded, it's just violent. It really is. And then you get the code, and it's just frustrating because the machine will never ever get into high-speed spin, and it just keeps rinsing and repeating. Rinsing and repeating. So I'm going to let you watch the rest of the video, and you can pretty much see that it does pretty well. And I did not show this, but the washer did complete a full load of laundry, and it completed the cycle. So I do that with any washers that we fix. This was not a customer's machine, so it actually will be resold. So I will be sharing my actual repair of the suspension rods. This suspension rods, or dishwasher I should say, the suspension rods were repaired. And as you can see, doing pretty good. Those suspension rods, the factory ones, I think are $50 per. So when you get a call a technician out, that's $200 plus markup, and then you have a service call, and then labor. You pretty much just buy a new washer. Unfortunately, it's a vicious cycle. So that's why I make videos, so I can save you guys some money. And I like to test everything before I share it, so that it's tested. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.